We're on the road to 1 million subscribers, and when we get there, 5 of you will win a world trip to the most incredible places in history. Catch new episodes every night at 7 p.m. UK, 8 p.m. Europe over 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Subscribe now, because the next chapter of history could be yours.
Echoes of an unfolding prophecy. Across centuries, the Book of Revelation has burned like a comet through human imagination. From cloistered monks to modern scholars, readers have searched its cryptic visions for the key to history's final act. The Historicist View insists that Revelation is no sealed riddle. Instead, it unfolds as a timeline, an unbroken sequence of world events predicted by the Apostle John on Patmos. This approach captivated reformers, kings, revolutionaries, and poets. It offers not merely a forecast of the end, but a panoramic sweep of empires, wars, and spiritual battles that shaped the world you inhabit today. As we journey through this perspective, we will trace how theology, myth, psychology, and literature merge into a living drama, one that whispers that history itself may be prophecy in motion. From scroll to empire. Early Christian eyes. By the 2nd century, Christians copied and shared Revelation with careful awe. The book's violent imagery, dragons, trumpets, falling stars, mirrored the social chaos of Rome's decline. Historicists argue these readers were the first to sense that each vision aligned with unfolding history, barbarian invasions, economic crises, and theological struggles. Cross-cultural parallels abound: ancient Persian dualism of light and darkness, Hindu yugas of cyclical time, and Norse prophecies of Ragnarök. Each culture projected cosmic meaning onto history's storms. For early believers, Revelation became a spiritual map, guiding them through persecution and imperial collapse while hinting at a divine timetable beyond the emperor's reach. Medieval minds and monastic clocks. As Europe entered the Middle Ages, monastic scholars began weaving Revelation into chronicles of kings and popes. The 7 seals became epochs: the fall of Rome, the rise of Islam, the Crusades. Medieval mystics blended myth and theology, interpreting plagues and eclipses as signs of trumpets. Cathedrals hid apocalyptic symbols in stained glass: lambs with 7 eyes, angels with swords of fire. Psychologically, these centuries reveal humanity's need for pattern amid chaos. Dreams of beasts and angels mirrored the feudal struggle between earthly power and spiritual longing. For historicists, every coronation, every plague, every schism was not random, but a step in Revelation's script, ticking down the celestial clock. Reformation firestorm. The 16th century Protestant Reformation ignited a historicist revolution. Martin Luther and John Calvin read the beast as the corrupt papacy. Reformers declared that Revelation's judgments fell upon the Roman Church. Printing presses spread these interpretations like wildfire, shaping politics and fueling wars. Revelation was no longer distant prophecy, it was headline news. This era shows how theology and power entwine. Prophecy became political weapon. Literature of the time, Milton's Paradise Lost, for example, echoed Revelation's epic battles of light and dark. The historicist lens here is unmistakable. The apocalypse was not future fantasy, but a coded history of ecclesiastical tyranny and liberation. Enlightenment to industrial age. Even as reason and science blossomed, thinkers like Isaac Newton secretly studied Revelation, mapping its symbols to world empires and astronomical cycles. The French Revolution, Napoleonic Wars, and the rise of democratic ideals seemed to fulfill trumpet blasts and bowl judgments. Psychologists might call this pattern-seeking, but historicists saw divine order in revolutions and the rise of industry. Cross-cultural echoes, from Buddhist kalpas to Mayan long counts, reminded humanity that time itself might be a sacred countdown. Modern interpretations and global parallels. In the 20th and 21st centuries, the historicist view faced competition from futurist and preterist schools. Yet it persists in academic and faith communities that see the 20th century's world wars, nuclear age, and digital revolution as chapters in John's prophecy. Literature and cinema, from dystopian novels to blockbuster films, borrow Revelation's imagery of beastly empires and fiery judgments. embedding its mythic power into global consciousness. Psychology explores how apocalyptic belief shapes resilience and activism. Some find in Revelation an ethical call to justice, others hear a warning of unchecked technology. For the historicist, today's geopolitics, climate crises, AI, shifting empires, may well be the final trumpet sounding. World wars, the earth shakes again. The 20th century tore the planet apart in two global wars that shattered illusions of progress. Historicist interpreters saw in the trenches of Verdun and the firestorms of London the very trumpets of Revelation sounding their warnings. The beast now wore the faces of fascism and militarism, its mark etched in the mechanized death of millions. Nations rose and fell as if pulled by a hidden script. Across cultures, apocalyptic visions surged, Jewish mystics reading Isaiah anew, Islamic scholars revisiting end-time hadith, and indigenous prophecies speaking of a great purification. For psychologists, these wars revealed humanity's shadow, our drive to self-destruct when collective fear overrides reason. For historicists, the 20th century confirmed that the scroll continued to unroll. Cold War and nuclear midnight. When mushroom clouds bloomed over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world felt Revelation's fire. The Cold War became a theater of Armageddon, with prophets warning that a single spark could fulfill the vision of a world consumed by flame. Historicists traced the dragon and beast imagery onto the superpowers, the US and the Soviet Union, each claiming moral supremacy while threatening annihilation. Psychology called it the Age of Anxiety, but believers heard the grinding wheels of prophecy. From Cuban missile silos to secret bunkers, humanity stood at the brink, echoing John's vision of the earth scorched by the bowls of wrath. The digital apocalypse. The late 20th century birthed a new beast, the global web of technology. To some historicists, the image of the beast now flickered on screens, a digital idol drawing billions. Algorithms replaced oracles, but the need for revelation persisted. Could the mark be data itself, biometric codes, invisible yet binding? Literature from cyberpunk to dystopian epics echoed Revelation's warnings that power without conscience breeds chaos. Cross-cultural parallels surface again. Hindu conceptions of Kali Yuga speak of a dark technological age. Mayan prophecies whisper of cycles renewing through cataclysm. Here prophecy and silicon entwine, hinting that Armageddon may be waged in data rather than blood. Environmental judgment. As oceans rise and forests burn, the earth itself seems to echo the trumpets. Historicists find in Revelation's plagues, scorching suns, poisoned waters, an uncanny mirror of climate change. Science frames it as consequence. Prophecy sees it as culmination. Psychologists note how ecological grief awakens a primal, apocalyptic instinct. Cultures from the Hopi to the Maori hold prophecies of Earth's reckoning, calling for harmony long ignored. Whether divine judgment or natural feedback, the planet's unrest feels like a final warning. One revelation described centuries before carbon emissions had a name. Globalization and the one-world dream. Historicists watch as trade, finance, and digital culture weave humanity into a single fabric. Revelation speaks of a system where all nations drink of the same cup. Is the Babylon of today a global marketplace without moral compass? Economic crises, pandemics, and instantaneous communication blur borders, fulfilling visions of a united yet fragile world. Literature like Brave New World and 1984 eerily foreshadows a society seduced by comfort and control. For the historicist, this is the great paradox. Unity promises peace, yet carries the seeds of total dominion. Psychology of the end. Why do humans crave an ending? Jungian analysts suggest the apocalypse is an archetype of transformation, the ego's death before rebirth. Historicists may read external history, but inside every mind, the seals open and the trumpets sound. Dreams of catastrophe reveal the unconscious need for renewal, mirrored in myths from Egyptian sun cycles to the phoenix's fiery resurrection. Thus, Revelation becomes not only a prophecy of world events, but a map of the soul's own dark night, an inner Armageddon leading to awakening. Literature and the eternal echo. From Dante's Divine Comedy to modern graphic novels, the imagery of Revelation saturates art and story. Historicists argue that these works are more than homage. They are cultural proof of the prophecy's ongoing relevance. Painters like William Blake turned angels and beasts into living color. Filmmakers draped dystopian worlds in apocalyptic symbolism. Across centuries, artists act as modern seers, ensuring that Revelation remains alive in imagination, where myth and reality constantly intermingle. Interfaith parallels and shared visions. Revelation's symbols resonate with the Quran's descriptions of Qiyamah, the Hindu Kalki avatar, and the Buddhist Maitreya, who appears at the cycle's end. Historicists point to these convergences as evidence that the divine narrative is universal, expressed in many tongues. Psychologically, such parallels reveal a shared human intuition. That time is not endless, but purposeful, moving toward transformation. These cross-cultural prophecies suggest that Revelation is not an isolated Christian text, but a cosmic chorus, calling all peoples toward a climactic renewal. The unfolding future. And now we stand where John once stood, on the edge of a mystery we cannot fully name. Historicist interpreters look at AI, quantum breakthroughs, and shifting empires and wonder. Are these the final seals breaking? Perhaps the prophecy is less about a single cataclysm and more about continual revelation, each generation invited to read its own age within the sacred script. Whether history ends in fire or transformation, the book of Revelation endures as a mirror and a warning. The scroll is still unrolling, and its last lines may yet be written by us. The Living Scroll. The historicist view of Revelation refuses to treat prophecy as static. Instead, it invites us to read history as an unfolding sacred drama, where myth and fact intertwine. Whether one sees it as divine code or archetypal myth, the book continues to haunt and guide, offering both caution and hope. Its power lies not in predicting an exact date for the world's end, but in compelling us to see our own moment as part of a grand, ongoing revelation. And perhaps that is the ultimate mystery, that history itself, your life included, is still being written in the ink of prophecy.
You've just unlocked another chapter of sacred truth, and your journey with God's wisdom continues. Return tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, when a fresh revelation may brighten your path and strengthen your faith. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a blessing-laden episode. Share this scroll of knowledge with family and friends. For when truth is shared, God's mercy envelops us, guiding and blessing in every circumstance. Your curiosity is our compass. Tell us in the comments which mystery you'd like to explore next, and together, we'll unveil it by His grace. Until next time, stay faithful, stay watchful. May God's mercy and blessings be upon you always.